Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this week's Influence Stories with school board member Susie Castillo. Susie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Helena. I'm so happy to be here with you, my friend. Thank you for inviting me.
And I'm so glad that you're here because I know that you were up late last night, very late last night. What was
Yeah.
going on last night? Tell everybody here what was going on last night.
Well, yes, it was a very late day. It started at 1 in the afternoon and it ended about 3 o'clock in the morning. But you know what? It was actually a very good thing because we had the opportunity of hearing from our parents and our teachers. As you know, Miami-Dade County Public Schools has had a rough start for the first 2 weeks of the school year on this distance learning. And because of that, we've had a lot of parents and teachers calling us, emailing us, talking with us, texting me, all sorts of communication with me as a board member and with the entire school district staff, which I'm very happy about because we want to hear from the public. And if something's not working, we want to hear about it because we can't change it, we can't fix it if we don't hear about it. So yesterday we had over 450 comments that came in from teachers and parents. They were all about, the majority of them were about the new distance learning program that we implemented this year, which is a K12.com. All of the concerns and the complaints that people were having was about the, I guess, non-functioning program. The program, we had several issues this year. So the first thing that we discussed was the cyber attacks. As you know, I believe it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, there was a student that was arrested, a 16-year-old student that was arrested for creating 8 of the cyber attacks that we had experienced with Miami-Dade County Schools the first week of school. Now, we also know that there was a number of more attacks that had nothing to do with the student. Some of them were international, some of them were local. The good thing is that with the cyber attacks that we've had and the issues with the internet going down and the network staying up, with all of that, none of the personal information was taken from the students, from the parents, from the employees. Our firewalls are very strong, and no personal information was taken. So we're happy about that. However, we also learned that we need to strengthen our cybersecurity at the school district. And let me deviate a little bit from what happened yesterday, because one of the items that I had on the item agenda on yesterday that's going to move into Monday's meeting is cybersecurity. I realized I did some research in the school district that we have no cybersecurity training for our employees. And that is one of the ways to prevent cybersecurity attacks, is when your employees are aware of phishing emails and other things that come in, and if they can stop it right at the beginning, it gives them obviously less of a chance to penetrate the system, the network. So that's one of the things that I'm going to propose on Monday at Monday's board meeting. And with that also, there was actually a few other board members that had a few other agenda items on cybersecurity. So we want to strengthen our cybersecurity, and that's a big. And we mentioned also in the budget that we're putting another, I believe it's $500 million into technology. So mostly into our network program. So yesterday, once we were receiving a lot of the calls from our parents and teachers, the main issue that we're having was the K12.com. That's the program that was started this year for the first time. The teachers were trained the week before school started. However, it kind of started already at that point. The teachers were trained without having access to the program. So for a week, the district was training all of our teachers, which is about 20,000, how to use a program that they had no access to. So that was the first notice that we had already, that things were starting off on the wrong foot. But then we see that the first day of school was the first time that our teachers got a chance to open the program and look at it and use it, which is at the same time simultaneously when our students got access to the program and our parents. Yes, and that alone caused a lot of chaos and anxiety for parents, our students, and our teachers. And I have to say, Helena, you shared your story with me about your daughter, and that was one of the most heartbreaking things that we were hearing and that I was hearing was the kindergarten students. Mm-hmm. Because these students are so excited to have their first day of school. And a lot of them were in their uniforms or sitting there waiting at 8:30 in the morning and waiting. And I even got a video of one student that was waiting for over half an hour and kept clicking the computer and nothing happened.
It's very difficult.
Success. And he opens it and it's there for like 2 seconds and it drops down again. So unfortunately, that was Monday, Tuesday, and probably most of Wednesday. So Wednesday, we had a meeting, and at that point, the superintendent decided to remove the K-12 program for the grades 6 through 12. However, that left elementary school still using the program. So the wishes, the disarray continued throughout the week into this week. So what we did is we eliminated the use of K-12 for distance learning for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. That's what we did yesterday, and that was at about 1:30 in the morning. Yeah. But as I said, luckily, we were very happy to hear comments from everyone because there was a lot of pain, a lot of anxiety, a lot of disappointment with the school system that, it shouldn't be happening, especially now in a time that there's so much chaos going on and there's so many other, with the COVID pandemic and everyone staying at home and, there's so much going on already that the last thing we needed was a non-functioning education system. So we hope that what this has done is taken the platform off of distance learning for Miami-Dade County Public Schools, allowing our teachers to go back and using Zoom and Teams, which is two programs that they have been using for years in the classroom. So it's programs that they are familiar with, it's programs that our students are familiar with, and they're programs that have been functioning, and they're functioning very well. It allows our teachers to really be teachers. The other one was really tying their hands a lot to be educators. This one is using Zoom and Teams really allows them to be teachers now. And I think we'll hopefully from moving forward, we'll hear some positive comments.
I think that, I just want to say that as a mom of a kindergartner who was just starting out, I was freaking out. We have a different issue. It's not even, it's trying to transition the work that you do with 5-year-olds in a classroom to online, which is very difficult. And watching these teachers, they're suffering. They want to be in the classroom with the kids, but it's just not safe right now. As a mom, I was very much looking forward to being able to take my kid on her first day of kindergarten. And it just didn't, it just wasn't for this year. You guys, during the school board meeting yesterday, a lot of people have commented how you talked about possibly reopening at some point in October. Can you give us a little bit of information about that was discussed?
Yes, it was briefly discussed. No decision was made. So I don't want to scare anyone yet. So yes, we have had conversations. No decision has been made at this time. There were a lot of concerns from parents and teachers of opening the schools too early while we were not in phase 2, because there was a lot of rumors going out there in the administration of schools being ready to open next week. However, that was stopped yesterday, and we will be having a discussion. We actually have a special board meeting next Monday where we have a lot of items on the agenda that we didn't get a chance to do yesterday. But during that meeting, we will be addressing, we'll be talking about how we will be moving forward in opening our schools. The original plan that the school board approved from the superintendent was back in July. And in that plan was very specific that what it would be when Miami-Dade County as a whole was designated under a phase 2, which at this moment we are not yet in a phase 2. We are still in a phase 1, which is a modified phase 1. However, we are in a phase 1. So at this time, that wouldn't even comply with one of the criteria that we approved. So we are looking still at a phase 2. Now, there was a lot of anxiety about opening the schools that we heard yesterday from our parents and teachers. whatever reason, nobody wants to put somebody at risk. And one good thing on the parent side, if you look at it in two different ways, for the parents, the good option that they have is that they don't have to send their child to school if they don't want to send their child to school. Parents have the option of, you can take them to, when we open, because we're not open yet, when we open, you can take your child to school, or you can choose to continue leaving them online, and they will continue the same level of education that they would be having in the classroom. So that is a relief for the parents. So the parents that feel that they need to leave their child for, they have to go to work, or they have no one else to take care of them, or they want them to be educated with a teacher in sight, because there is the education in person is a lot more effective. And everybody knows that. Parents know that, our students know that, our teachers know that. There's nothing like that. So it's very hard to replace that online. But, we're in the position that we are. We know we have to keep our children safe, and it's a health issue. And for the teachers, and our employees, it's a little bit more difficult, because if and when we open our schools, then the question is, are we going to require them to go in if they feel that they're at a risk? Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be at a health risk to feel that you're not comfortable going into work. So that part of the conversation we have not had in length, and we have not received a good answer yet from the Human Resources Department, because if teachers have health issues and they have a note from the doctor, that could be submitted in the FMLA and they will be approved. However, there are many people out there, still employees, that like me, that I feel safe, I feel good, but my mother lives with me and she's 86 years old, and I don't want to put myself at risk of going to outside on a daily basis, exposing myself. And I know that we have a lot of employees that are in the same boat. So that is something that they're still working on, the administration is still working on, and it's something that I encourage our teachers and employees who are listening to please send that in, email us those comments, send us whatever you need to do, flag it, put it in writing so that we can address that, because the more we know what is happening, the more concerns that you have, the better chance that we have of fixing it. So, or at least doing the best that we can to accommodate everyone, because we know not everybody's going to be happy, but we're trying.
You can't make everybody happy. It's impossible in the world that we live in. And definitely that is something to discuss. That would be the next step, to discuss how this affects teachers and staff, bus drivers. I mean, there's so many people to consider, not just the students and not just the teachers. And there are a lot of parents that, can't work from home because their work is outside and they can't just stay home with their kids. It's a very difficult situation for everyone. And I think as a mom, I would just like to suggest that what I think is great is to have flexibility for parents and for students and for the teachers as much as possible until we make it through. So right now, no decision has been made. I just want to make it clear. Today we have school board member, Miami-Dade County School Board member, Susie Castillo with us today in Influence Stories. I just want to, every once in a while, I like to remind people what they're watching. And so the board did not make a decision yesterday. In case you were not able to tune into the meeting up to 2:00 in the morning, they did not make a decision yet as to when schools in Miami-Dade County will open. So we'll have to continue finding out about that. And, next week, we're going to be having on this show, we're going to be having a behavioral therapist from Jackson Hospital. And we're going to be talking about handling virtual school and parenting and surviving through this thing. So that should be interesting. And, if any parents out there are watching, I suggest that you also tune in next Thursday. Now, we also want to talk about a little bit about.
Helena, just 1 second, just to make sure that our parents feel comfortable. When we say that we don't have a date yet, the date will not be in September. So we know that for the next 2 weeks, we're going to stay online. If and when we're looking at a date, it'll be from sometime in October. But we know right now, so you can feel comfortable knowing that in the month of September, our schools will not be opening as of yet.
And like you mentioned, great that once they do open, it'll be a phase 2. So you can choose to keep your child at home or send them to school. You are not forced to send them to school. So exactly. That is something that is very important. I don't think everybody understands that. a long time ago, we were sent a survey and asked us a bunch of questions. I got to be honest with you, I don't remember what I wrote in that survey.
So I'm glad you brought that up because we did talk about that yesterday. And this district will be sending out another survey, probably get in the next few days to our parents and to our employees, pretty much getting a better gauge of where we're at now because we're getting closer to opening our schools. So now the answers may be very different because months ago we were all in a very different place in our lives. So another survey will be coming out, and I, again, encourage you and I urge you to please fill out those surveys so that we can help.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And so we'll be there and we'll do the best that we can. So remember, next Monday, which is September 14th, there's another school board meeting for people that can tune in. And I'm going to put the website here for Miami-Dade County Schools for people that where you can log in. And I'd like to add, I mean, this website has all sorts of information that we are going to be discussing. I'd like to remind everyone to please write your comments. If you have any questions, to go ahead and write your comments in. Now, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to switch gears. Y creo que vamos a cambiar de idioma también a español, porque tenemos muchas preguntas de nuevos recién llegados al sur de la Florida de otras comunidades. Tu comunidad, el Distrito 5 de la Junta Escolar, incluye grandes partes con una gran población de inmigrantes, ¿no? Sí. Incluyendo la ciudad de Doral, partes del oeste de la ciudad de Miami, que incluye, y partes del condado de Miami-Dade, Hialeah.
Exacto.
Que tienen muchos inmigrantes, que no necesariamente llegan justamente en julio, para el principio del comienzo del año escolar, puede que lleguen en enero, en marzo, en meses distintos. Y tenemos muchas preguntas sobre cómo inscribir a los niños, qué hace falta, qué documentos necesitan los padres traer, necesitan, o sea, las vacunas que se sacaron en su país, ¿funcionan en Estados Unidos para inscribirse en las escuelas?
Las vacunas se tienen que hacer aquí en los Estados Unidos. Así que vas a tener que llevar la información de la vacuna del médico, un médico aquí de los Estados Unidos y recibir las vacunas de aquí de los Estados Unidos. Otro documento que van a necesitar, como por supuesto, va a ser la licencia de manejar o una identificación que venga del estado o los Estados Unidos o del estado de Florida. Si no tiene la licencia, puede traer su pasaporte. Eso también se va a aceptar. Ahora, último y lo más importante para saber, para cuando ya sepan en la escuela que va a atender su hijo, es que traiga una prueba de que está viviendo en esa casa o en ese apartamento.
Dos pruebas.
Dos. Helena, tú lo puedes decir, la cuenta de electricidad y la del agua, para enseñar que son pruebas que estás viviendo, o una copia de un lease, si estás rentando un apartamento, también se acepta. Pero todo eso se va. Lo primero que le voy a sugerir es que si usted vive viendo que cerca de su vecindario hay una escuela pública, se puede bajar, se puede hablar con la gente, aunque estamos en este momento en un pandemic y que estamos con las distancias, queremos que mantener la distancia de los 6 pies y las máscaras, bájense con esas máscaras, mantengan sus 6 pies, las escuelas están abiertas no para los maestros, no para los estudiantes, pero hay personas en las oficinas para recibir padres que se están inscribiendo sus hijos. Así que se pueden bajar, pueden hablar con la directora, si los directores están en ese momento, pero siempre va a haber una secretaria o alguien que lo puede ayudar para matricular a su hijo. O puede llamar y también, como le estaba diciendo ahorita, puede mirar en la página web que pone su dirección y ahí le sale la escuela que le pertenece.
Así es. Voy a poner ahora, de hecho, porque esa es una de las preguntas más importantes que nos han hecho, es ¿cómo sé yo qué colegio me toca? Bueno, es importante, porque no es necesariamente así en los países de donde venimos nosotros, es importante recordar que aquí, dependiendo de dónde vivas, te es asignado una escuela. Para saber qué escuela es esa, tienes que o ir a la escuela más cercana y bajarte y preguntar, que esa es la manera más directa realmente. Siempre hay alguien ahí o pueden ir a esta página que les estoy poniendo ahora y poner su dirección. Y ahí les van a salir la escuela primaria, la secundaria, qué escuelas pueden asistir y llamar a la escuela. Ahora, es muy importante que tengan esas dos pruebas de residencia, porque solamente las personas que viven en ese sector pueden ir a esa escuela pública. Es muy importante. Y otra pregunta que nos están preguntando, por supuesto, el estatus migratorio. ¿Qué estatus migratorio tienen que tener los niños para poder asistir?
No hay ningún requisito, ninguno, solamente que esté viviendo aquí en Estados Unidos, está viviendo con sus padres, pero no se pregunta nada de inmigración. No hay ninguna pregunta sobre inmigración en ningún momento en ninguna escuela pública.
Aquí simplemente es que todos los niños sean educados. Ese es el propósito de las escuelas públicas del condado de Miami-Dade, es que todos los niños obtengan educación que necesitan. Muchos padres también tienen miedo, por ejemplo, que no hablan inglés y sus hijos van a tener, tampoco hablan inglés, van a tener ayuda en los colegios para poder aprender el idioma.
Sí, exactamente, claro que sí. Tenemos muchísimos programas para lo que le dicen ELL, que es para los estudiantes que hablan otros idiomas antes del inglés. Ahí no es solamente español, hay varios otros idiomas que tenemos, brasileños, que hablan portugués, o alemanes, o rusos. Hay muchos otros países que entran en Miami, como ya saben. Tenemos gente que pueden ayudar. La mayoría de las escuelas tienen por lo menos una persona, algún lugar en la escuela que habla español. Así que en eso no se tiene que sentir incómodo en cualquier momento, porque siempre hay alguien que le puede traducir.
Exactamente, o sea que lo que es el tema de español, sobre todo, bueno, por ejemplo, en tu distrito siempre hay, en el condado de Miami-Dade, casi siempre hay alguien en la oficina que puede hablar español y traducir, así que no hay problema con ese tema. Si viven en el área de Doral, en estos momentos tienen el área de Doral, partes del sur de Hialeah, el oeste de Miami, tienen la suerte de que su representante en la junta escolar es Susie, así que, pero bueno, esto es hasta ahorita porque en noviembre tú te retiras.
Sí. Ya voy a terminar, pero antes que salgan de la realidad, quiero estar seguro que todos los padres sepan que estamos abriendo 2 escuelas nuevas este año. Son nuevas escuelas públicas en la ciudad de Doral. Y las escuelas son preciosas. Les digo que vayan a visitarla. La primera es el nuevo high school, que es la secundaria, que se llama JC Bermuda Senior High School. Bajo del nombre del alcalde que tenemos tan bueno que tenemos aquí en la ciudad de Doral.
Y que fundó la ciudad, que fue el primer alcalde. Por eso el nombre.
Exactamente, es fundador de la ciudad de Doral, que abrimos en el 2002, yo creo.
Creo que sí.
Y la otra escuela que abrimos este año se llama la Andrea Castillo Preparatory Academy. Ese nombre se lo dio a un estudiante que supo mucho de Andrea, aprendió de Andrea, y Andrea trabajó en muchas escuelas aquí en la ciudad de Doral, en todas las escuelas de la ciudad de Doral. Era mi hija, falleció en un accidente de carro hace ya casi 8 años, parece que fue ayer, pero me da un orgullo que los estudiantes han sido, le han dado un impacto en la vida de ella, quién era ella, para nombrar una escuela sobre por la memoria de Andrea. Así que estoy muy contenta que esa escuela está abriendo. Esa escuela está en la 102 y la 102 Avenida y la 78 Calle.
Es una bellísima.
Nadie nuevo de Doral, tiene muchísimo, como todos sabemos, Doral sigue creciendo.
Sigue creciendo, las familias escogen vivir en Doral. Pronto vamos a tener a Jackson West abierto al principio del 2021 del año que viene, que también demuestra cómo va creciendo la ciudad de Doral. Muy bonito lo que mencionaste también de la escuela de Andrea Castillo. Existe también una fundación que se fundó en su nombre, la Fundación de Andrea Castillo, que ayuda a estudiantes que están estudiando para ser maestros,
Sí,
para ayudarles e impulsar. Háblanos un poquito sobre la fundación.
bueno, la fundación empezó en el 2013, menos de un año después que Andrea falleció, porque queríamos hacer algo que era el nombre de ella, que seguía el camino que ella estaba, donde ella estaba en ese momento de su vida. Y tengo varios amigos, incluyendo a Helena, que está en la junta de la fundación. Y en los menos de 8 años que estamos abiertos, ya hemos dado más de 25 becas a estudiantes que están en Miami-Dade College o en Florida International University, en FIU, que están estudiando ser maestros. Lo más lindo de todo esto, que ya he conocido varios de estos estudiantes que recibieron la beca, que están en nuestras escuelas y están en ese momento, son maestros, son y maestras en nuestra escuela. Y eso es lo más lindo de ver, que el impacto de Andrea sigue, es vivo y sigue. Y estos maestros van a seguir dándole ahora a sus estudiantes. La verdad que no puedo pedir más. Y eso todo era posible por la ayuda y el apoyo que tenemos de la comunidad. Porque de ahí sale el dinero de la comunidad. Y le doy muchas gracias por creer en nosotros y saber que estás ayudando a la comunidad y los estudiantes nuestros.
Y ayudar a los maestros del futuro, ¿no? Porque realmente no podemos hacer nada de esto, ni tener escuelas, ni educar a nuestros hijos sin esos maestros. Yo veo ahora las maestras cómo están intentando comunicarse con los niños y es muy difícil para ellos. De verdad que para mí son unas superestrellas porque es muy difícil tratar de llevar a cabo este curso escolar en las circunstancias en las que nos encontramos. Si alguien quisiera enviar comentarios para la reunión del lunes, ¿todavía los están aceptando o no?
Sí, estamos aceptando. Eso fue una decisión que hicimos ayer a las 10 de la noche. La información va a salir, yo creo que hoy, ahorita, si ya no salió antes de las 5, que vamos a tener una reunión pública el lunes a las 1 de la tarde. Si quiere hacer un comentario o quiere someter un voicemail, que estamos recibiendo las llamadas también como en recording.
Sí.
Puede dejar su mensaje con su comentario, y eso es como le digo, el lunes antes de las 11, así que antes de la 1, así que si pueden hacer eso y mandar esa información antes de la 1 fuera mucho mejor para poder oír las preocupaciones y las ideas que tiene cada uno de ustedes.
I want to repeat that in English. On Monday, there is another school board meeting to follow up with everything that you weren't able to finish discussing yesterday, even though you were there till 2 o'clock in the morning. And so there will be other issues, including cybersecurity, which is one of your items, which is a huge deal. I mean, it is kind of incomprehensible that the fourth largest school district in the country is so vulnerable to cyber attacks. And tell me about that.
Well, there's areas of improvement that we could do that have not been implemented. And we have known about this, and the administration has known about this for a number of years. I mean, I went back into at least 2 years ago, where the IT department was contemplating implementing some of these programs. One of the areas that I'm suggesting for our board to pass a policy is to implement annual cybersecurity training for all of our employees. And that would include the bus drivers, the cafeteria workers, the custodians, because every single employee in the school system has an email. So cyber attacks can easily happen through email. We all know that. So right now, our employees are not trained, which is something that I know the administration is moving very quickly on. But that is one of the reasons that we're implementing that. We're going to be talking about that and passing that policy on Monday. And one of the other things that's in my item is multi-factor authentication, which may sound complicated, but anybody who goes into your mobile website, into your bank, is going to use that. That your bank has to log in, and then it sends you a code to your phone. So to verify that you are the person that is logging in to the account. And that's being used industry-wide. It's a best practice. So that's another thing that I'm asking the administration to implement some type of multi-factor verification. And there's a number of other things that we need to implement, and that should be there already, and we need to enhance on. The good thing is that we know that the administration is moving in that direction. But we just want to make sure that is our job as board members. We are the checks and balances. That's why we are there. We are elected by the people to check that what the administration is saying that they're going to do, it gets done. And if it doesn't get done, we're your voices to make sure that they do get done. And we're your voices to address your concerns. If something's happening like we just experienced in distance learning, we are the ones that brought it to the attention, with your help, to the administration to move out of this program. If not, it wouldn't have happened. But that is the power of the people. And that is why it's so important to speak to your elected officials. Let them know what's happening. If you're frustrated, if something's not working for you, talk to your elected officials. That is our jobs, is to be your voice. And as I said, unfortunately, I'm not running in November. But
very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I gotta say, very unfortunate. I don't live in your district, but it's very unfortunate.
It's been great for me. It's been a great 8 years. I'm honored and privileged still to this day that the community has trust in me to represent you. It's really, I tear up just thinking about it. It was an interesting campaign. A lot of people helped me, including Helena and her husband. Her girls weren't born yet, but it was a grassroots campaign, and it's important to stand up and do something in your community. We don't have enough people that are run for elected office, that are honest, and that do things for that reason, to serve your community. I'm not saying that everybody's dishonest in politics, but we need more. We need more people that really care about the community. So I know Helena and I have these conversations all the time, and I urge anyone who's interested, please put your name in the hat for whatever area that is. If your interest is in education, if your background is in education, the school board is the right place to be. But if your background and your interest are in other areas, in planning or parks or anything else,
yes.
Because the garbage doesn't get picked up, which is as a county service, be a voice for your community. Stand up and be elected and do some community service this way, because it's fulfilling and it's what we should do. That's who we are as citizens. We need to give back to our community.
And we actually have a question now, because given that the school board yesterday voted to terminate ties with K-12, the question here is, will there be a termination cost for the contract? So has any money been paid out for this contract that was terminated yesterday that is apparently $15 million?
I'm really glad that you asked that question, Helena, because there's a lot of confusion out there. First of all, the contract, although it was not signed by the superintendent, as we all know, contracts are binding once services are rendered. Mm-hmm. However, the administrations, the superintendent and the staff, knowing that we were all going in this direction yesterday, did speak with the K-12 company and our attorneys, and he has assured the board that no monies will be exchanged. We have not yet paid 1 cent. And because there was no contract, we have not yet paid 1 cent to that company. And the superintendent assured us yesterday that no monies will be exchanged for any of the services, and no further services will continue with K-12. So the good thing is we've caught it early enough where this is not an expense for us. And just so everybody understands, these $15 million were not part of our school board budget, which is not part of your taxes, local taxes. It is part of your taxes in the big picture because it came from the CARES Act, which was federal dollars allocated to public schools for enhancements of distance learning. So it was very specific money. We cannot give it to the teachers as much as we would like to, because then our teachers have broken their backs, they've cried, they've been in tears, they're trying to help our students so badly, and it breaks your heart when you talk to a teacher right now of what they had gone through, because they really love their students. And if we could, we would definitely give it to the teachers. But it really is tied to technology for distance learning through the pandemic.
Mhm.
I'm glad you
Well,
asked.
thank you for that clarification, because I'm sure that was on everybody's mind. And thank you so much for being on, the board and standing up. We will be looking forward to that item on Monday and cybersecurity as a whole in our system. I encourage everyone to follow Susie, look at the social media and follow us so that you can follow what's going on. I'm going to post the email that where you can send your comments to the agenda. It's agenda comments at dateschools.net. And I am just one of those people that is constantly getting people, hey, you don't like it? Write to your elected official. Call your elected official, because that's what they're there for. And that's really what us as citizens need to do. And people, it works. Trust me, it works. When you call them, when you write to them, it works. So do it.
Good example.
5 seconds to write a couple of lines and send it in. Maybe call, leave a voicemail. Do it, because it's really, really worth it. So thank you so much, Susie. If there's anything else you want to add before we close it out?
Thank you, Helena. Thank you for talking to your elected official and allowing us time to speak with our community, and allowing the community to have that one-on-one chat with us through Facebook or any other media. So I want to thank really our journalists who keep everybody informed. We had Colleen Wright yesterday from Miami Herald that was listening to the entire meeting, and she was on Twitter the whole night letting people know what was going on. So everybody knew that when they woke up this morning, either the Herald or some news media would have the results of what happened last night at 2:30 in the morning. So sometimes you don't have to stay up late. Sometimes you don't have to watch the entire meeting to get the gist of what occurred. But stay informed. It's important. Like Elena says, stay informed, because if it's not working for you, you have the power of changing it. So stay informed and do your duty as a citizen to participate.
And it works. They listen. They listen. So please do it. Thank you so much, Susie, for joining us in this Influence Stories this week. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday on the virtual dais, as you guys are doing the meetings through Zoom, and being able to talk about cybersecurity. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Elena. Have a good evening.
Have a wonderful day. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.